back at it again. Now that we have the Dakota running well and moving under its own power, it's time to take care of a couple things on the rear end. I have a set of wheels and tires for it, but I'm not able to put them on because it still has the 6 lug pattern in the rear end, and the truck has an open diff. So what I'm going to try to do is show you how to convert the rear 6 lug axle to a 5 lug axle. So I actually have all the parts to do that. I'm about to pull the cover off here. I'll show you the next steps from there. So for some reason I don't think I can run these. I'm thinking that it might be a risk. You know, you never know, right? Again, I got the drums off. I'm about to pull the rear cover off, and then we'll get started with pulling these axles out. Cover is off, and not only am I going to be replacing the axles, I'm also going to be putting in a locker, which is going to help both wheels rotate forward under power instead of just one under power. And if you don't really know how that works, there's all kinds of awesome videos out there that explain how spider gears work and open differentials work. So I'm just going to let you guys look that up if you're unaware. Alright, so with all that taken off, I'm going to start the process of removing the spider gears. And actually the first process to do this, what you're going to have to at least remove this pin to pull out the axles. So even if you're not doing a locker like I am, you still need to pull out the axles. So I need to remove this little bolt right here, and if you don't see it, you're gonna have to rotate the dry shaft to get it to show up, because there's one side where there's a bolt and the other side where there's a casting. So I need to find the right size socket for it. It's gonna wind up being standard. Flat 16th wrench. I'm going to double wrench it to try to get it to move. Come on now. There it goes. Very, very good. There's actually a Loctite on this, which I do see, which is good, which is probably why it didn't back out or break or anything. And there you go. So it's just a pin that holds this in right here, and I don't remember which way it's supposed to come out. There it goes. So now I can actually pull this pin out. Very, very good. That's optimal right there. Now that I have the cross pin out, I'm going to remove these axles. And if you look down in there, this is the axle itself, and this is the spider gear. Right here, this thing along the outside is what's called a C-clip. And in just a second, I'm going to have my wife push in the axle, and I'm going to remove that C-clip. That's literally all that holds this in there, so it'll be pretty easy to come out. This face right here, just push in on it. Yep. Bingo. That clip fell out. Where did it fall? Aha, there we go. So there's the clip. Now can you do it on the other side? Pretty please. Yep. There you go. Thank you, ma'am. And then I'm going to pull these axles out real quick. Alright, C-clips are out. So now I'm going to pull this axle shaft out. And it's literally just as easy as pulling it out very carefully. You don't want to mark up anything. And then the axle shaft is out. Let me go repeat that on the other side, and then I'll inspect these bearings. Alright, my last piece is here that I need to do for disassembly. Note, if you're just changing over to axles to convert the 5 lug, All you would have to do is put the new axles in, put these C-clips in the grooves in the axle, hold them there and have somebody pull the axle out. Then you would put the clip back in and the bolt back in. But since I'm putting in a locker, I got to do some more disassembly. So let me move this, try to move this some more. Let me see if I can. There we go. If I didn't mark that up, I'm gonna pull these spider gears out by simply kind of rotating them. One fell out down there, which is okay. I can get to it and pull it out. And now I'll pull the side ones off, which just kind of come out. And you can see these has the splines for the axles. There you go. And then there should be shims in here, I think. At least, maybe not. You look in here with this light, make sure there's no shims. No, if there's shims there, oh, they're still on it. Good. Okay, so there's, I might still need to use these. And they're actually on these outer spider gears. So that one fell off. I'm gonna leave them all there in this box so I don't lose them. And then I'm gonna get started on figuring out how to put this locker in. So I'm being distracted, as you can see. Kidding. Good girl. Good girl. Drop it. Drop. Sit. Alright, so getting back at it. You saw me disassemble the rear end last night. I took it upon myself this morning to put axle seals in. The bearings look good, so I'm going to leave them as is. So I've got new axle seals on both sides. And now these are the axles that I'm going to be replacing. I believe the part number is right here. It's MG1551, and you can see it's a 8.25 axle, 27 spline, 30.75 5 lug. So I don't have a press, so I'm actually putting the studs in on these right now, and I'll show you how I'll do that. Let me get the camera in place. So what I'm doing is I'm putting it in place. I'm putting the big thick washer down, 2 thick washers down, and then 2 of these 1/2-inch washers, and then I'm running it down with the impact. And I'll show you guys a different angle on that in a second. You want to make sure you have good enough threads on there. So let me show you how it pulls it up. So, here we go. You can see here that the shoulder is now flat against the axle, the outside of the axle, and that nut just brings it up. You just got to make sure that all your hardware is really good, hardware like grade 8 stuff, so you don't break it. And then I'm just going to do the rest of these real quick, and then the axles will be ready to go in. So they say go ahead and put the driver's side axle in to go ahead to get started. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put some grease down here since this is a used bearing and a brand new seal. I'm going to be very careful putting it in here so I don't mess up that seal. Extremely important. doing, but we got it in place. Feels good on the bearing. Alright, so here is the locker. And there's 7 main pieces, I guess you could say. This is I want to say this is the driver. This is the coupler. And this is what they call the spacer. And you have one on each side. And then you got to prepare it first before you get it inside the truck. First thing to do to prepare it is they want you to put these little dowels, I forgot what they call them, they're shear pins is what they call them, and they just want them to go anywhere there's a window. So there's a window here and a window here, and on the other coupler there's the same. So it said put some grease on them and put them in there, so that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, got some grease on it, got a lot of grease on that one, and I'm gonna put it in with some grease. Gonna hold it in there. That's all the grease is really for, is to hold it in place. For some reason when I pulled out the grease, the dog and the wife left, so I'm not sure what that's all about. Alright, so we're gonna do all 4 of these, and it said into the windowed units. So you come from the outside in, just gonna push it in, the grease holds it in place. Last one here. Okie dokie. So now it says you want to put the springs together. So there are 8 springs. These 2 are obviously connected to each other. Let's pull that out. Same thing here. Alright. And then there's 4 little springs. It wants you to put the little springs in the big springs and then put some grease in between them again, just to hold them in place. So little spring in the big spring, little spring in the big spring. Let me say that again. And I'm just putting some grease in there, and I'm gonna put them in this cap right here for the axle grease, because to me that just makes sense. Alright, so again, small spring into the big spring. So all 4 springs are assembled. Let me wash my hands on something. Alright, coming back to the locker, it wants you to put some grease in between the teeth here. So I'm going to do that. Again, this is going to be mostly to keep stuff in place. So I'm just going to put it on both sides to make sure that stuff gets placed really, really well. Alright, so on the back of the original spider gears, these things right here, on the side there are these shims. These shims need to be reused on the locker. I'm going to start with using, I think, what they call a driver, or it could be called a coupler. I don't remember which is which, but the instructions say take a dab of grease, put it on the back of the driver, and then reuse. I just put that back on there, and since they said put the driver side axle in place, I'm going to try to, is there a, nope, try to get that sucker in there. Ooh, there it goes. Make sure I still have that thing in place. Alright. So the axle moved on me. Try to get the splines lined up. There we go. There we go. Goes all the way in like that. Then it says to put the C-clip in, which is this, facing down. And of course it doesn't fit the axle. How does that work? There it goes. Alright. Must not have been in the right place. And then I'm going to get my wife to help me. I need you to pull out on that axle really hard. So just, yep. There you go. Just hold it right there for me. Alright, so now the driver goes in, which is this thing.
Oh, no.
And then the spacer, and you want this bevel side going against the axle shaft. So there's part one. Now let me see if I can no, actually not the same thing. Good question. I have to get this thing in place first. Again, the coupler. So I need you to push out on that axle slowly. I'll tell you when to stop. Push forward. Yeah, in. All right. So you want it to go flush with this coupler here. Yep. Hey, stop. All right. Push in a little bit more. I need to get it on the splines, and it's not. All right. So that's there. Push it in a little bit more. Keep going. Stop right there. Bingo. Okay. Okay. So recap. The driver's side coupler. This is what is in the driver's side. Driver is in. The spacer is over the C-clip. The passenger side coupler is in. Make sure you get that thrust washer on both sides. You'll have problems if you don't. And now I'm going to put the driver's side driver in. Okay. This is supposed to be even with that. Alright, you want that axle on the right side even with the coupler where it's out. We don't want to push it all the way in yet. And then this is the other driver. And you want it to go in. You want it to go in. We want it to move till we get a gap right there. All right, so now it says keep this seated and then get the area where the C-clip goes in exposed. And I just did that. Now let me find the C-clip. See if I can get that C-clip in there. There it goes. Alright. Then pull that back. Let's get this kind of in place. There it goes. There's not enough grease left. There we go. Okay, so now, remember those pins we put in a while ago? It says line them up together and push them over to the other side. Just like that. Then you take a spring that we put together earlier as well. There's no way you're going to be able to see that. to kind of get it in and get it into place. And then you can use a screwdriver to get it all the way down. There it goes. So, got to do 3 more of those. Alright. This one will be fun because the ring gear's in the way. So I push the pin over, and then spring goes in. Actually, not too bad. And you can see the springs in place. Alright, let's keep going. There we go. Next pin goes over, and then the spring goes in. I'm going towards the pin first and then compressing. Seems to be working pretty well. Alright, last one here. And it goes over. And the last spring goes in. Alright, so now the last thing left is to put the pin in and put the bolt in, which I am going to put some blue threadlock on. There it goes. It said it should go in by hand, and it mostly is. Put too much. Now, let's get that pin in. 5/16 wrench. Alright guys, this is the last bit here. Tighten this up, and the locker is done. Ooh. See if I can stop that from moving for a second. Alright, locker's done. Alright, so I'm just going to get this all cleaned up. Silicone, and throw the cover on. And then drums, and then wheels. I think that's it. So I'll knock this out real quick and then get on to the putting the drums on. I got the cover back on the rear end, and I got the fluid in it for the locker. If you're doing a locker, it says to put like a thicker oil in it to decrease the sound, which is like, I bought 85W140 because that's what it recommended. So that's in there, and now I just got to put the drums on and wheels and tires on, and we're done. So probably not gonna be able to test drive it too much because 1, it's not insured, but 2, I've got a leak in one of the wheels, and unfortunately I'm gonna have to buy wheels, which I wasn't planning on. It is what it is. Okay, real quick before I throw this drum on. I bought drums for a 1990 Dakota, and these are obviously my factory 92 Dakota drums. I thought they were 10 inches, but they're actually 9-inch drums. So just make sure you get the same size. My pads are in decent shape, so I decided to not change those out. But these drums are identical. I've actually done some measuring. Inner diameter is 9 inches, outer diameter is 11 inches, and that's on both of them. Also, the pad width is 3 inches, and they are the same. I will put the part number in for these, if you have 9-inch brakes that I got from Oreilly's, in the video description. But literally, the only difference is this is a 5-bolt pattern, and this is a 6-bolt pattern. Ooh, what a journey it's been. But the locker's in, the new axles are on, everything's working. The brand new Jegs SSR wheels are on the back with some 275 6015 Nittos NT 555R drag radials, and it looks so awesome. I even got a hood on it now. I'm gonna have to decide whether to leave it red and the fender red, or go ahead and prime it all. We've got some mixed reviews. I think it's kind of funny to have the missing part, or the mismatching colors, because I don't know, it just kind of shows what it is, the Dackenstein, which my friends have kind of labeled this truck Dackenstein, so I think I'm gonna go with that. But damn, it's running good. The Holley Terminator X has been pretty simple. I did make a couple updates. I did redo my battery cutoff switch to the positive side, and I ran not only the power to the switch to the starter, I also ran the alternator power all the way back to the switch, and it cuts off now when I turn it off, which is good. And that's now I got the Holley Terminator X going straight to the battery where it's supposed to be. Man, it's ready, it's legal. I'm gonna do some driving and hopefully take it to the track here soon. Kind of just depends on how all this COVID stuff holds out, but oh, it's great, man. I can't thank you guys enough for coming along on the journey. So the next time you guys will see this, we'll probably be going to the track. So thanks for coming along, and until next time, y'all be good.